So, today we're going to talk about Afrikaners. You know Afrikaners? White people of South Africa. Yes, they're suffering in America. You remember a few months ago, some of them went to the United States of America claiming that they were being unalived in the country. Yes, well, they're suffering big time in the US. You better find out about that. Okay, fellas. Now we are in South Africa. South Africa is multiple people, black people, Indians, white people. I know you're asking a lot of questions. Well, white people, how did they get to South Africa? Well, they came before colonialism, officially, looking for new lands, new avenues, new ways of living. They went to conquer Africa and they chose Southern Africa, where they created South Africa as you know it today on the map. They didn't create the people. Surely the land existed before them. They installed a system where the whites and the black live together, but not quite together. But before we get to that, let's find out what's going on.
Did you see this video of this woman from South Africa talking about how on a Facebook group she saw that Afrikaner refugees here in the US are struggling and are thinking about going back?
Family of refugees has been placed in this town and they have had no food. I know that there's this, and I don't know what to think because I didn't really follow it at all when it happened. But I think they were of the understanding that they were going to be arriving here to complete assistance. And I think people here thought that they were going to be arriving to a house and a job and medical insurance and a whole bunch of other stuff. And it actually isn't that way at all. There have been 4 adults in a hotel room with no money, no cell phone, no anything. And the humanitarian in me, I can't ignore the fact that these people are struggling. But there's this one side of me that's like, fuck that.
If you hadn't heard the story, Trump has been letting Afrikaner refugees, heavy on the quotes, into the US. They came here with the lie that the South African government is persecuting them because they're white. So at a time where Trump is not allowing any refugees to come into the country, he is allowing Afrikaners into the country. And this article perfectly states, they're not refugees, they're opportunists. And these opportunists really thought that when they got to the US, they were gonna get a house, a job, a car, a cell phone, health insurance completely paid for. They really thought that Daddy Donnie was going to take taxpayer money and give it to them. You know, believing all those lies that people of color come to the US to seek refugee or asylum, and then they have it on easy street, which, surprise, surprise, it's not true. And it doesn't matter how much those South Africans hate it here, they can't just go back home. Like the Department of International Relations said, these Afrikaner refugees cannot just go back to South Africa or get assistance from South Africa because they're supposed to be under the protection of the United States and Donald Trump.
Wow.
And if these Afrikaner refugees want to be welcomed back as citizens, they have to revoke their status in order for this to happen. But these Afrikaners are struggling in the US and they want to go back home. Basically, they have to admit, we lied.
Wow.
I think it's kind of humorous to me that their lies have backfired on them and that Donald Trump has left them stranded. However, it's very frustrating that people who actually have to seek asylum and refuge in the US because they're trying to escape danger and persecution are not being allowed in, but these opportunists are being fast-tracked.
Wow. Okay, this is shocking. Okay, this is really shocking. I mean, the guy that's speaking clearly is not part of the conservative, okay, he's maybe of the left. We need to take that into account, but is everything he's saying a lie just because he's from the left? Question mark. Well, the truth is, a lot of white South Africans left South Africa for the United States of America under the protection of Donald Trump. What protection? Because there was stories along the lines that white South Africans were being unalived in numbers. They actually used the word genocide for that, saying that they were being finished. You know, if you look at the definition of genocide, it's something totally different. Now, is South Africa a dangerous place? Absolutely. Are people getting unalive every single day in South Africa? Absolutely. People get unalive in South Africa every single day for having a little piece of chocolate in the mouth. Okay, maybe not a chocolate, but for holding your cell phone, you're probably going to get unalived. If you stand in the street, you have money in your pockets or your wallet, you're probably going to unalive you. If you're very lucky, they're going to take it from you and not unalive you. If you're not very lucky, they'll take it and shoot you, and that's bad. Now, does this only happen to white people in South Africa? Absolutely not. It happened to everybody. Blacks, Chinese, Indians. Yes, there are Chinese and Indians in South Africa that live the same situation. Well, it's very sad because you would think because the country has gone through apartheid where white people persecuted black people for a long time, these criminals will only target a specific group of people. But no, they don't care. They go through everybody. If you stand in the street with something that, yeah. And also if they know that in your house you have no gun to protect you, they're probably going to come in. South Africa has a law that allows people, like in America, to hold a gun. You can have a gun, personal gun, to protect yourself. And unfortunately, many black people don't have guns like that. For the majority of cases, it's mostly white people that have it. And in most cases, criminals tend to fear a place where they know they're going to find resistance. Do we agree to that? Yeah. So you don't want to go to a place you know they're going to be guns and stuff. So they tend to attack people they know vulnerable with a lot of chances of survival for them. You know what I mean? Now, are white people getting unalived? Yes, they are being unalived in farms, especially those who live in farms. Sometimes people get in there, they do very, very nasty things, bad things that need attention, definitely. Now, is this a problem? It is a major problem all across South Africa. But is this a specifically problem with white people being genocided? Well, if we had that, we probably would have seen the videos about genocide. Now, for context, Elon Musk revived the idea along the lines that white people in South Africa were being unalived in numbers. He said that there was genocide happening in South Africa. That's what he said. Then Donald Trump backed him up. Well, later on, we found out that one of the reasons why he did that is because his company, Starlink, was not allowed in South Africa. Okay, they asked him to pay 30% equity of his company. Basically, if you want to take your Starlink into South Africa, South Africans need to own at least 30% of your company. Not that you give them, but they have to buy shares. And Musk didn't want that. And that was one of the motivators for him to push the agenda along the line that white people in South Africa were being unalived in number. Now, there was another idea saying that South Africa was taking land from white people by force. Okay, you remember when white people went to South Africa, they took land. Okay, they beat up South Africans, older grandfather, beat them up bad. They beat them bad. Actually, in 1913, they created a law called the Native Land Act. The Native Land Act basically just meant black people would not own any lands anymore. Okay, this is your land. It's Africa. We've come from Europe, but this is ours now. Okay, all the land belongs to us. If you want to have some part of the land, you better be working for a white man. If you don't do that, then you can fly cat, or else we're going to beat you up and take your clothes off. I mean, did they have clothes though? Anyway, let's continue. So I'm just kidding. So yeah, and as you would imagine, most white people have land. They had land back in past, and black people did not have land. Up until now, they talk about the white people of South Africa having more than 70% of the lands. You know, that belong to the minority. But remember, the white people in South Africa are minority. The majority blacks have no lands at all. They're now free, but they have no land. So let me put it into context. In 1948, everything was officialized. That's when they had what you call apartheid. Apartheid was basically separating white people from every other race. You know, white people on top of the chain. You have the Indians, you have the coloreds, and then you have the blacks. Yes, there are coloreds and blacks in South Africa. They're not the same. They're different. I know in America, you have coloreds that are blacks and coloreds. But in South Africa, you have colored and you have black. In matter of fact, colored in most cases look a little bit lighter in skin complexion compared to black people. Yeah, you may find some black, dark looking colored after, you know, when you have kloof and stuff and you mixing each. Okay, anyway, forget about that. Surely you can get some dark looking colored people, but colored in some cases, a good number of them also retrace their ancestry to some places in Asia. Okay, even though they're Africans, but they're also part of people that mix with some of the people, the Malays and the people that came from Asia. Anyway, so apartheid separated people. White people at their side, black people at their side. There were schools for white people exclusively where black were not allowed. Restaurants for white people, no black allowed. Hotels for white people, blacks not allowed. Neighborhoods exclusively white people. When black walks across the neighborhood, they're going to come with the police car and ask him, what the hell are you doing here? Little N. Okay, South Africans use K word, not the N word. So basically it means the same. But yeah, that was the story. But many years down the line, 1994, Nelson Mandela, this man right here, came out of jail. Then they organized the biggest election in South Africa after international pressure. the entire world was unhappy and tired of the apartheid regime. You know, the Western collaborators of the apartheid regime left them because, listen, we can't continue the situation. Mandela went through the election. He won the election through the ANC, which was the biggest political party in South Africa. I believe it still is today. And after that, black people got freedom. They could now share schools with white people. They could go to the same hospitals. They could share restaurants. They could drink water from the same water fountain. But then there's still something not right because the majority of land is still owned by white people. You know, black people own almost nothing. Sorry. But white people are doing a great job also, you must mention, because a lot of them are farmers. They're producing the food in South Africa. The apples, the pineapple, the cabbage, the carrot, the chicken, the beef, the milk. They produce a lot of that through the land. But there was a brand new law in South Africa wanting to get some of the lands back from white people. Not by force, but listen, you need to understand a lot of the lands you have, you don't use. So if you don't use a land that your great-grandfather acquired in 1913, and it's like 20 soccer fields empty that you've never invested in, you've never put any money into it, no bricks, nothing. Can we take the land back so we can assign it to the government so the government can build a school or maybe an hospital? Well, that's where things went south. And Donald Trump intervened, saying that South Africa was taking land indeed from white people by force. Now, during that specific window, some Afrikaners who are Dutch descendants and French, okay, so their great-grandfather, some of them were Dutch, some were French, they all mixed. They have a specific language called Afrikaans. Not all of them, some of them decided they wanted to leave the country because there was an opportunity offered by Donald Trump saying that because you're persecuted and stuff. You remember South African president and his delegation going to the White House to justify themselves that they were not killing white people. Yeah, so that opportunity was given and allowing many white South Africans to go to America and go stay forever. Okay, you can come. And remember, at that specific time, Trump was saying we don't want no more refugees in America, but we have a window for white people of South Africa. They can come. Now, many of the whites apparently were 100% sure that they will get to America, will be assigned a job, a location, maybe a house for a while. They're going to be paying, you know, maybe a car, maybe an insurance company, maybe yes, maybe not, you know. But apparently right now things are very difficult because in America there's a lot of majorities are not black people are minority, unlike in South Africa where when you're white and you're minority, you're possibly like special people because you're minority. In America, majority is white people, so you're probably going to have to work as a bouncer, work as a cleaner, work as a gardener. Those are some of the jobs that white people in South Africa don't necessarily do. It's jobs for black people. Now, when you find yourself in America where you have to pick up the trash, that is not something you are habituated to do because you used to be in the office while the blacks are doing all the jobs. So anyway, it looks like it's very difficult right now. And number one, they cannot return to South Africa. Why? Because they're under the protection of America. Now, why they cannot return to South Africa? Because they accuse South Africa of being genocide. They were the proof that South Africa is doing negative things to them. Now, how do you go back to a place where you were being, you know, subjected to genocide? That means you need to acknowledge that you lied officially for you to go back. So they cannot get protection from South Africa, and America will not allow them to go back to South Africa because then it questions the policy of Donald Trump. Now, the question is this one. Were they really sympathizing with them? Okay? Or it was just policy, a way to push forward a narrative so they can gain ground. Let me know how you feel about this. Let me know how you feel about this, fellas. Afrikaners in America apparently are going through a very tough time. Is this true or not? Sensationalism? I can't even pronounce sensationalism. We don't know that. But the truth is, it's not very easy to leave a land where you were born, your grandfather was born, to go to a new land and obviously expecting that things are going to be easy. And if they don't go as easy as you expected, what are you left with? God bless. Oh, before you leave, fellas, you need to drop a comment. We need you to drop a comment. This has to make sense. There's a major team behind these cameras. Okay, if you really appreciate this type of stuff that we bring you, we may as well also start talking about Snoop Dogg and Puff Daddy. But you don't want that, right? Because that has a lot of engagement. You don't want that. You want to find a place where but you can't just watch and go. I mean, it costs you nothing to drop a comment, but we feel appreciated. And this. God bless.